What's happening, hummingbird? Do you know what that's from?
No.
It's from the 80s movie 16 Candles. Actually, the real phrase is, what's happening, hot stuff? Because they had a foreign exchange student, but...
I've never seen it.
I know. You haven't seen a lot of things in the 80s.
No.
You don't know a lot about the 80s.
No. I mean, well, I was so little in the 80s. I wasn't even born.
That's a good point.
In the beginning part.
That's a good point. So let's not talk about the 80s. How about we talk about letting go? Before we talk about the art or the know behind letting go, let's take a second and introduce ourselves. My name is Billy Perkins, and I am half of the Hawk and the Hummingbird. I am a holistic lifestyle coach, soon-to-be published author. I also am fortunate enough to be the life partner of the other half of the Hawk and the Hummingbird, Julie Ariola, who is a holistic health practitioner, a holistic lifestyle coach, a licensed massage therapist, an amazing energetic healer.
Thank you.
I could keep listing things, but I'll stop because I see that you're turning red. You're so cute. And today, what we wanted to do, guys, is we wanted to get curious with you. We wanted to explore the idea of letting go, of what is this? We hear this phrase a lot, especially in our community of coaching, wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, emotional coaching. There's T-shirts made, posters, bumper. Let that shit go. What is letting go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Let that shit go. Sometimes there can be a negative connotation, one that's maybe not even very empowering, actually. When you say, well, at least let that shit go, kind of brings up for me is the idea of getting over it or suck it up. When we were talking about it earlier, you were saying
it's dismissive.
Yeah.
Right? I think the energy for the majority of people, right, if you talk to someone and you say, oh, this thing's going on and it's been, it happened to me, 20 years ago, but it keeps popping up. And you might get a coach or a friend or someone who feels like they're spiritually or emotionally grounded, and it's dismissive when they say that to you. Because obviously these things are arising or coming up for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so instead of creating space, and allowing that part of you to have a voice and be acknowledged, it's a very dismissive approach to do so.
Yeah.
To just simply be like, oh, let that shit go, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can often be, well, I think that idea of just get over it can be, can actually cause the opposite thing to happen than what you want to happen when you're thinking about letting something go. It just makes you kind of focus on it and hold on to it more. Like you can't, stuff comes up in order to be let go of.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's right. It's like that's why it's happening. That's why it's in your experience right now, so that you can actually let it go. But let it go isn't like get over it or dismiss your experience as much as it is facing your experience.
And so maybe what I hear you saying is the actuality or potentially the art of letting go is really about resolve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a part of it, I think. I think that's a huge part of it.
And to throw a disclaimer out there real quick, we're only going to speak from our experiences. Those of you that have joined us on the other episodes know that we're going to just talk to you about letting go from our experience.
Yeah.
And by no means
we're not authorities on the idea of letting go.
Right.
Only within what we've experienced.
Only in with what we experience.
Yeah. I feel like it's a really deep topic that I don't know that I fully understand all the freedom and beauty that is available to me through letting go yet. I don't know that I mean, and maybe I never really will. Maybe I never really will, because I think that's part of the joy of being human is experiencing that contrast. So
real quick, let's talk about the contrast before we move on.
Yeah.
And that is, like, we kind of talked about sort of the shadow side or the dark side of the yin yang, because all topics to us have a light side and a shadow side. Nothing is just one thing. And so even inside of letting go, you have this kind of dismissive side that's like, oh, but we also dismiss it and kind of and sugarcoat it in a different way, which you were speaking to me earlier about on our walk.
Yeah.
And saying that...
Yeah, we use positive thinking or gratitude to mask our true feelings around something. And that can be very harmful, because now it becomes... Teal Swan, I was just at her, listening to her on Saturday, was so awesome. One thing that she said is that positive thinking is wonderful until it becomes a means of escape, which
Pause.
makes it...
Say it again. People need to hear this.
Yeah. So positive thinking is great. It's wonderful. It's perfect until it becomes a means of escape. And when it becomes a means of escape, then it becomes the very resistance itself. And that was like, that's a beautiful way to say that. That to me was a beautiful way to say it, because we can very easily mask our true feelings and totally numb out what needs and what is crying out to be felt and experienced and expressed through positive thinking and gratitude, and then get confused as to why positive thinking and gratitude isn't helping.
And that in itself is just as dismissive as saying, suck it up.
Yep. Get over it.
Get over it. Right?
Totally. It's the same thing.
It's both, they're both coming from a same dismissive viewpoint.
Yeah.
That if I just stay positive, and then you get people that, I mean, we both have clients that we worked with that go, I'm doing all the steps. I got these books. I got this collection of books. They keep telling me, do my mirror work, do my affirmations. What am I missing? And I think that what you and I have come to discover is that what you're missing is the ability to actually create space and sit with that thing instead of suppressing it. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think that I think when those feelings come up that we deem negative, like I said earlier, it's because they want to give you the opportunity to release them and let them go, but you can't let them go until you've actually sat with them, faced them, felt them, done whatever it is they're crying out for. And for me, in my experience, every time I come up against something that's deep and troubling and that I feel is yearning to be released, I always remember the phrase, the only way out is through.
Wow. The only way out is through. Would you be willing to go expand on that for us?
Yeah. To me, the only way out is through. It means I need to face these emotions, sit with these emotions, express these emotions. So I always imagine in my mind, like, I'm walking on a path and I come across this wall. And the path continues right through the wall. And the only way out of here is through that wall. So I climb over it or take it down brick by brick, whatever it is that I feel pertains to my situation at the time. And I feel sometimes I feel I'm really resistant. I have been in the past really resistant to sitting with things that still hurt me, things that still cause me pain. And I guess what I've learned is that ignoring things doesn't make them better. Ignoring it does not change anything. actually. And so sitting with my emotion, allowing it to be expressed through crying or through anger or through yelling or through physical expression or through journaling or whatever it is that it yearns to really to create or to embody. I allow it to. And I feel like that's a practice. I feel like that's a practice on a daily basis.
Wow, thank you for sharing all that. You know, the wall path and, you know, visualization you just threw out there was beautiful. Because I imagine, you know, all the time that I'm on this journey that was kind of reverse engineered by my soul, right? And right, so my soul kind of said, you're going to go on this path, and so now I'm walking the path, and there's these walls that are there, and so in order for me to stay on that path, I've got to do, like you said, brick by brick. I've got to take that wall down, because if I go any other way, I'm no longer on my path. Right? And so these walls could be lessons, they could be experiences, however you want to phrase it. That is just a cool way of thinking about it. Thank you for sharing that, because it really hit me in a cool place.
Yeah. And I think I was thinking about that. Like, I think the wall can also be a sign too. Like the wall could be a, don't go this way, turn left here. You know. So using discernment is like, oh, maybe this is not where I'm supposed to be right now.
Maybe, or maybe it's there to tell us to slow down. You know, cool, you've been cruising, because there's always, you know, nothing is ever like this upward, you know, trajectory. You know, you're on an upward trajectory, and then you're a downward trajectory, and life kind of goes in ebbs and flows, and it's real, it's rolling. You don't go from it's this idea of these linear graphs you see that I'm going to just keep going upward. No, you go up and you slide down a little bit, and you go up a little higher and you fall down, but maybe not as far as you fell last time, and then you get a new height and you fall a little bit further, and every now and then you fall all the way back down. So maybe the brick wall is nothing there to slow you down and to help you get regrounded. And, you know, because sometimes I think when you go back down to the basement, you appreciate the living room just a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, and so maybe that walls that are there, I'm wondering, I'm curious, if they're there not to detour us off of our path, but to slow us down and let us sit in our path and really absorb. You know, I think of it as in coaching. You know, like in coaching, I think that one of the things I've learned is to slow down. Slow down the lessons. Slow down and like really learn this lesson so that I can really teach it and I can really guide people with it.
Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes as a practitioner over the last 14 years, I find, you know, you can always be taking a course. You can always be reading a book. But are you absorbing that information? Are you know, that's one of the things I really value a lot about Paul Chek. Is Paul is really into take this course, go away for 1 year or 2 years and practice it. Like talking one-on-one with Paul, I know Paul wants you to practice your shit.
Yeah.
You know, my personal coach, John McMullen from Journeys of Wisdom, he wants you to practice the work. Right?
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to really learn anything.
That's the only way you're going to learn anything. And so I think those walls are there to get us to slow down and practice. They're there. These things come to the surface so that we have an opportunity to take all these podcasts and books and seminars and workshops and put them to use. You know, it's one of the reasons why I think you know, young men get so addicted to combat, you know, because being a Marine, you know, myself, you know, you're practicing all the time and you're sitting out in the hot ass desert shooting at imaginary targets and you want to do your job.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a part of your soul that wants to do the job. It wants to sit in there and it wants to do the work. So I see the walls as an opportunity to actually go, okay, let's put these books, let's put this coaching course, let's put this stuff to work.
Yeah.
Right? And until I'm convinced, from my experience of working with other people and myself, until you've actually experienced something firsthand, right? That's the shaman way, right? That's shaman or shaman, however people want to say. I say shaman. That's the shaman way. Let me create the opportunity for you to have the experience. Don't let me tell you how to heal yourself. Let me show you. Let me give you the